gonna start streaming.
We live?
Oh, give it a second.
If you want to allow this app to make changes in your device. If you want to allow this app to make changes in your device.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
No, you gotta be better than that. Come on.
Good morning, USA. Instead of Vietnam.
You gotta turn that off.
You what?
Oh,
How's everybody doing today? I hope you're well. My name is Shane. And everything, I don't have the I'll be your co-host today. I know I'm not any Vanna White, but just bear with me.
sorry.
I think we've got a delay.
Because it was hearing that too.
Hope everybody's doing well today. There's a lot going on.
Yes.
I mean, even this morning, early this morning, with those closing departments, the southern border.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's China caught red-handed, shipping fentanyl into the U.S. I mean, it's the Wild Wild West over here, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm just curious how they can pretty much charge them for other things. Could they add extra drug tariffs, or I mean, if they're catching them red-handed, I mean that's a crime. I mean, how do you charge a country?
Right now, as of late last night or this morning, I'm not sure which, but Trump is saying that we're going to slap 50% on them instead of 25%, knowing all this. And I mean, who knows what that'll lead to next, you know? Wow. Also, just don't forget we have the southern border.
Yeah.
Too. That's a pretty hot topic right now. But what I'm most excited about today, other than that 50% tariff, is President Zelensky is due to meet with President Trump this afternoon. You know, and they're talking about, I mean, this is an important meeting. They're talking.
Well, this kind of end the war stuff, isn't it? Like,
Well, no, not only that. It's kind of a two-way street. There's precious minerals, and I did not know this until about a week ago, that are in Ukraine that would be beneficial, extremely beneficial.
well, that's the coal battery stuff, isn't it?
Battery stuff, minerals, and would be extremely profitable to us, and economically, and also.
Well, shouldn't they just give it to us? I mean, how much money have we already sent over there? So, I mean, to be like, hey, you kind of got to pay us back for that. Sorry.
Well, that's kind of what Trump's strategy is for. First of all, to get our money back out of them. Second of all, to profit from it. And what Ukraine's getting in return, it's not like we're bullying them or anything like that. They're getting a huge favor of what they couldn't do for themselves. For example, if the U.S. has interests over there, the U.S. is on the ground over there, Russia's not going to come in there, not like they are now. There's not going to be anything like that going on because, I mean, that's a direct act of war against U.S. interests. Are you telling me to hang on?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
That's my camera all screwed up.
And so that's protecting, I mean, and instead of giving them, because everybody knows if you give Russia those locations that they're wanting in Ukraine on the northern border of Ukraine, and if they're granted that 6 months down the road, they're going to come back and want more. You know, and we've sent $100 billion was the last number I heard, and that was 3 days ago. $100 billion to Ukraine, and
That's a lot of money, man.
That's with the B, billion, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, so yeah, if there's one thing that President Trump is great at is not letting us get ripped off anymore. You
Well,
know?
hopefully, like I said, it's like, oh, because if they're saying that they lost half that money, then I'd be like, well, then you owe us half that money back.
Well, and then there's
As a
case-
country, like you are like indebted to us. I don't know if that's a thing or if they can do that.
Well, what Ukraine has to deal, what they have to gain out of that, what they have to gain out of that is security of their sovereignty, sovereignty of their borders. Without that 100 billion, Russia would be 3/4 of the way through that country right now.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. With all that money, they bought tanks and stuff. I mean, I think we're the only reason they haven't smoked them.
Yeah, well, it's that, and I've noticed during the election, the closer that it got to ballot time in November, it started to Russia started to backpedal a little bit,
Yeah.
and good lord, after January, after November elections, January is coming pretty fast, and by that time, Russia turned the bike around and said, "Let's get troops out of there. Let's get equipment out of there." Very slowly, but they know Daddy was coming to town when Kyle was getting in.
Well, I'm curious too. Like I said, I mean, Zelensky would be, whatever Trump wants. I don't really think it's a negotiation. Like it's a, what how do you get me out of this? And like I said, I'm just curious on, especially if you're like, yeah, you sent us however many billions of dollars and I lost half of it. Well, what did you do with it?
Jesse, that's exactly right. That's exactly logical thinking for Zelensky. How are you going to get me out of this? Well, with anybody else, the Bidens, they would have just said, okay, we'll send you another 100 billion.
Well, because I'm sure that the whole theory is that they get like so much kickback here and there.
Oh yeah.
Whatever happened with that, with the sun and all? It's like kind of just like.
It's not like
Did it just poof in the air? Like it's like, oh.
It's not like we're taking over and taking advantage of them or anything like that. We're just getting them to
pace back. Yeah.
We're just bringing them into the light of what they have, and that'll set them up for further trade with other countries too.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Zelensky's supposed to be back. Let's see what's going on here.
Right now, Ukrainian President Zelensky arriving at the White House ahead of his meeting with President Trump. Our Eamon Jabbers with the latest. Eamon.
Jabbers.
Hey, Sarah, that's right. We are expecting President Zelensky here any moment. Now, you can see just behind me, the military honor guard is in position, ready to welcome.
I just want to pause this, but I want to say, hopefully, this is the end. Because, like, Trump repeats and repeats and repeats. So there's just, like, body parts all over the place, man. Like, it's one of those things where there's a lot going on that's not being, with all the live streams and stuff like that. I'm surprised that someone hasn't said, hey, let's put all this on air kind of thing, see what's actually going on.
I gotta add to that, Jesse. They had, I heard this and I believe every bit of it's true. Grown up in public life, and there's nobody crazier than the American public. Now, by the end of the campaign, I was ready, I could say word for word, but what these, the candidates were saying, what their platform agendas were and everything like that, but you gotta pound it in to people. I mean, that's the only way that if you're talking about something different every week for 3 months, nobody's gonna have a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because I was like, man, why do they keep saying the same thing? But it makes sense because if he says something different, then that's all they'll air, and
Yeah.
But we can continue. Sorry.
Him when he rolls in here in just a couple of minutes' time. We are expecting the United States and Ukraine to sign a joint economic development deal, as it's being called. The White House is extraordinarily bullish on this deal this morning. They say this is going to set the stage for the new U.S.-Ukrainian relationship going forward and for a post-war Ukrainian economic development boom. The question is, what are the details of that U.S.-Ukrainian agreement? No details have been released yet in terms of what.
Now, what they're saying is, I understand the exact of it, but they've been saying that for about a week and a half. When I first saw it, and I had no idea that Ukraine was worth or had anything of value in it, you know.
Well, this is something new. Yeah, all of a sudden they have all the battery parts and all the chip parts. I mean, all of a sudden, and maybe that's
Yeah.
why Russia's going after it. I mean, hey, let's take it over. That
Well,
you sack that country, then that's
I don't know. That could be kind of an ego thing for Russia at the same time, because it used to be there's no love lost there. Because I mean that was obviously Russian territory before, and Russia's not going to take that lightly. And I don't know if they didn't have a choice before or what, but those Ukrainians fought off on their own and came up with a sovereign state, and that's awful hard to do right on the border of southern Russia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then Ukrainians have their border or northern border right on the tip of Russia too. You know, so
Yeah. I'm just like I said, it's what kind of it's hey boss, he comes in and it's like we borrowed a ton of money from you.
it's almost like the Civil
What do you
War.
want? Yeah, what do you want so you can we don't get run over by the other country chasing us.
I mean, the controversy was different, but it's almost like a civil war. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so.
It is that the president will actually sign here at the White House this morning. A couple things I'm going to be looking for, Sarah. One is, does this apply to minerals only? What about oil and gas? What about pipelines? What about ports and other infrastructure revenue? How will those be treated? What percentage of
I would think it'd be just
of
everything
that
we got,
revenue
'cause we
will
paid
the
for it.
United States get as part of this deal? And
100 billion's gotta buy you
ultimately,
something.
What authority will the United States have to
It's basically
transfer
buying a stock,
Ukrainian profits from Ukrainian
so to speak.
infrastructure to
Yeah,
US
stock in
treasury?
Ukraine.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah,
that's
makes
still
sense.
to be determined, as well as whether or not there'll be a specific guarantee for security and military aid as part of this deal, or whether that will be implicit. The sort of sword of Damocles here that the Trump administration has over the Ukrainian president is that the United States has been providing for Ukrainian military defense since the beginning of the war. Without that, the Ukrainians likely could not continue in the fight. So the Ukrainians are in a position here where they kind
They're
of
like,
have
hey, we're not going to give you any more money.
whatever
if you
it
don't
is that
come
the
up with the other
president
half.
wants from President Trump, that is.
Hey, we've done enough already.
We'll wait and see whether that includes an
I don't think
explicit
we should have given
guarantee
them $1
or whether the
myself. It's not our
security piece
fight.
of this
Yeah.
is a
That's my
separate
personal
understanding between the two gentlemen.
And would it matter if he signs a negotiation deal if he gets, like, debunked out of power?
President Trump earlier.
You know what I mean? Like if he I'll sign all the contracts in the world, but Russia takes over, it's completely minute after that, right?
Well, once the deal is signed, the U.S. has interest, legitimate interest in
I was just
Ukraine.
gonna ask if the tone has changed after
It's not like we're
President Trump's
taking them over,
meeting
we're just going into
this week
business
with Keir
with them
Starmer of the UK.
as a partner.
Well, instead of
Emmanuel Macron
old
of
school
France. Also, they've been
storming the
obviously
beaches kind of thing,
supportive of
it's
Ukraine, and I'm sure
contracts
that's
and
top of mind and top of
deals.
discussion.
It seems like
Yeah, I mean, I
everything's
think
like
the
that now,
relationship hit a
everything's
real inflection point
economical
between
battlefield
Trump
now.
and Zelensky.
But-
When Zelensky turned down this mineral deal, when Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went to Ukraine to
But
present
that
it
wasn't the case
first
with
time
Ukraine,
around,
Russia.
and Zelensky
It
objected
was
to the United
physical.
States holding talks about the future of Ukraine without the Ukraine participating in those talks. Then you saw
He wants to
the
be at the
angry,
table.
Social media posts from President Trump calling Zelensky a dictator. But then this week you've seen a little
Yeah,
bit
that
different
was a
language
big
from
word to
President Trump.
use
I was noting
for,
yesterday in the press conference.
That's not
with
good for
Starmer, as you
all
mentioned,
that, but same
President Trump
time,
went out of
you
his
know,
way
Ukraine, I can
to
understand
praise the
Ukraine, you want to be
bravery
left out
of
of
Ukrainian troops,
the
and
deal
how
either.
aggressively
Left
they
out of
fought, how much
negotiations
they have
and
been
stuff
willing
like
to
that. I
suffer
mean,
in order to defend
that's
their
like,
country. The president
mom
clearly
and
has
dad telling you
admiration
what
for
you're gonna
that,
do.
and he went out of his way to
Um,
signal that yesterday. So maybe a bit of a warning here,
Hence,
especially
mom and
now
dad
that the
beat the
Ukrainians
US
have
and
signaled
Russia.
that
Yeah.
they'll sign on to this deal. And again, we're
I'd
still
wanna
waiting
be
to
in
see
on that deal
what the
too if I
terms
was,
are of this deal, how many billions
Zelensky.
of dollars are in there.
That's crazy. Let's see what Doge is doing. Got anything on Doge?
Well,
Doge?
get your popcorn, put on your seatbelt because Doge is cleaning house. You know, that's the thing I thought about Trump. Like that was so great about him not being a politician. We need a businessman because you know, and these people are that they get upset over, well, now he's in this department, that department, but they don't seem to be upset over, you know, us giving billions of dollars for gender studies in Panama. I mean, they don't seem to be upset about us giving $23 million to Iraq Sesame Street, sex change money, uh, you know, gender education. I mean, they've already covered our cut. The last estimate I heard was about 60 billion. So, I mean, that was taxpayer money. You know, that,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's they've only been there for
So it looks like since
a
this
month.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like I say it took immediate action to reduce the IT spend by deleting 114,000 plus unused software licenses and 15 underutilized redundant software products. So 100,000 plus. The software licenses aren't cheap, and I guarantee they're not like $30 license. You know what I mean? Like the license, it doesn't. We'll kind of go into detail hopefully, but it
I'm
looks
not
like
very familiar with that, but
well, it's saying $9.6 million is in licenses. So some software support or something like that, they were still paying for that I guess they were unneeded or somebody was charging them. But you know, they said
Oh.
WinZip licenses 37,000, 19,000 training software subscriptions.
and the list goes on.
Yeah. Um, let's see here. What it's saying here. Agency. Yeah. So 7,500 project management software seats for division with 5,500 employees. I mean, that's a lot.
5,500 employees, and we're still not clear on what they're doing.
Yeah.
We're still not clear on what we need to pay for.
Yeah, the Department of Government Efficiency, or in 2023, took out a $6 million loan technology modernization fund to convert the website into a new platform. After spending $5 million, it's nowhere near complete, and it also, if it was finished, it would cost $400,000 a year to host.
Well, we just hand out a blank check, you know, and they tell us what the price is.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. You know, that's
We're writing checks that it's like our body is writing checks that our behind can't cash.
yeah. Well, like you said, like, you know, and, you know, I've had this opinion before, but these Doge employees or the IRS employees that they're firing, why fire them? Hire them as IRS employees, or hire IRS employees as Doge employees.
Ooh.
Could you imagine? Because if there's like only a handful of people doing all this work, could you imagine a whole department, like a bigger department with hundreds of employees? I mean, hell, take 10% for yourself, you know, on the Doge side.
Well, I mean, that's a great concept and a great idea. Gosh, you know, right now it's awesome because the tech that he has with these practically just young adults, young men, men and women, being, you know, they could have a $1 million career a year in tech support and technology and stuff like that, and here they are working with Doge, and I just think it's awesome because I've called the way Elon dresses. I was just telling Jesse yesterday that he's kind of the Johnny Cash of
Yeah, he's like he's doing Johnny Cash action.
of bureaucracy.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. I thought that was interesting too because he's having more fun now than he has ever had. So
And people are trying to come between them, and it's all liberal media. The libs are ones that are, you know, trying to prevent throwing the elephant in the room of, well, it's an unelected official, and does it matter if he's elected or unelected? If we're paying billions of dollars to study ants and climate change in Antarctica, in South Africa, and you know, I mean, gender information education in Europe. I mean, stuff that does not benefit us, and stuff that, frankly, I think is just, I mean, garbage. It comes back to like National Lampoon's Vacation, the original one, when Clark Griswold is talking to his son Rusty, and maybe it's Christmas vacation. Yeah, it's Christmas vacation. I'm sorry.
We'll go on some movie parodies here. We'll start.
And he said, "Well, that's great, Dad. You think Mom will buy it?" I mean, that's pretty much what we're working with here.
Yeah. So
Sorry about going off.
no, I do it all the time. So the U.S. government currently has 4.6 million active credit cards and accounts, which process 90 million unique transactions for 40 billion of the spent fiscal year 2024. I mean, that's why do I mean? You'd think they have. Why do they need a credit card? Because I don't know if you saw the interview where he was Congress or somebody was chewing the credit card company's butt because they make over like 60% profit on all that, on all the charges back and forth on the credit cards. So I mean, they're making over 60% in profit of a huge industry. I mean, I know it's the convenience, but you know, I don't know. I don't know if you know anything about it, but I just kind of see snippets of here and there. And then here's my other thing too. Why in the hell do they have all these congressional hearings, but they just yell and, well, God, it's like, how much do you make? How big a boy are you? They're just talking about these things. It's like, what is any of this doing? Like, you never hear anybody like getting charges or, it's just like,
Yeah.
there's like, it's a public flogging, but with no consequence.
Well, some are. I mean, a lot are just exposing what they've got to make the pull the trigger on that. Congress does, but I mean, a lot of them are just what they air is just they're kind of like their trial.
Yeah.
You've done this and you've done that, and they give a chance to respond. Oh no, you've got that all wrong. And who's great at grilling people? I watch almost every time he's on. Every time he's on, either I don't care if it's 2 weeks old, a week old, whenever he's grilling people. John Kennedy of Louisiana, and he's just so direct and straightforward, and kind of funny at the same time. Him, and then don't forget
You talking about the one over the health?
from Louisiana over. No, he's grilling people.
Junior?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not Kennedy Jr. This is John Kennedy, not related to the Kennedy dynasty, but a Republican from Louisiana. His name is John Kennedy. That's Bobby Jr. that you're thinking of Robert Kennedy with the health. But he grills on oversight committee of if people are wanting money or have accepted money or what they spent it on or permission to have money for this or for that. And he lives, I mean, if it's nonsense, garbage, funding, he shoots it down and covers it. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I got to give a great mention too for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Fantastic also as well. So
That's awesome. So let's see.
out of Missouri.
Let's see what we got here.
Oh, and I can't go on and not mention Josh Hawley. That man is from Missouri. He's a human lie detector right there.
So Russia could exploit Ukraine's mineral. I know we were talking about earlier too. Let's see what they got going on here.
Action now to my interview with former Prime Minister Boris Johnson on his trip to Ukraine and the outlines of this deal, which appear to be coming together potentially quite rapidly. Kurt Volker's former U.S. ambassador to NATO, now a distinguished fellow at the Center for European Policy Analysis. Kurt Volker, thank you very much for being here. A few things from the interview. Boris Johnson's assessment that Putin is not losing this, and he is not winning it at this point, and the outlines of this deal.
Well, thanks very much, Martha, and great to be with you. And that's technical difficulties here. But basically, the simple answer here is Ukraine is in the midst of a war. It cannot take out the value of these resources on its own while the war is going on. It needs the United States to help stop the war. And therefore, what are we talking about? We're talking about 50%.
So kind of layman side, right? If Russia takes them, they get all of the minerals and everything. I mean, they get everything, right? It's like taking over a building. You know, they get all everything that's in it, on it, and around it. You know, money's digital, so it would be just whatever there is there, I guess. And then same thing. What do you do with if you just
Well-
pretty much sell it to the U.S. Say, hey, I'll give it to you instead of giving it to them.
Lithium and stuff like that is that's a valuable commodity, and we're not it's not like we're taking over the economy over there. We're making it so that it's mutual beneficial to both the U.S. and Ukraine. And Ukraine, basically, what President Trump was saying is they're not utilizing that, and basically, the biggest thing that Ukraine is getting out of it is border integrity. You know, the U.S. has interests over there, and they're not spending any more money on war. They're making money off their natural resources.
Yep.
They've got protection. They've got a sovereign state. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody.
Nope, that makes sense.
Cox Business Fiber Internet delivers upload speeds just
Not a
as fast
commercial.
as your download
Where's that
speeds.
going?
And
And now,
honestly,
it's 60-day free trial of 20.
I mean,
Dude.
border security is the essential goal for the Ukrainian state, and that prevents, if everything's economical too, and the U.S. has interests over there, that prevents us having to send troops over there. I don't. That's a Russian Ukraine conflict. I don't think any U.S. boots should be on the ground over there, and that way, President Trump is kind of what's it called?
What are you talking about?
It's where uh, nations' problems can be solved. Any problems can be solved through the economy. And I forget which political party that defines. I'm so sorry. But that's basically what he's doing. He's solving the problems through the economy. And, everybody really benefits from it. The U.S. and Ukraine, not necessarily the Russians, but it keeps them at bay because, they're the ones that went in there. They're the ones that started the fight. They're the ones that picked the fight anyways. So
No, that makes sense.
my opinion.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. What we got? What else are we gonna go over here today?
Let's make sure we touch on that Homan, ICE, and southern border subject at some point.
What's going on with ICE? You mean?
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about?
there's been a couple developments here over the last week with that. The liberals are fighting. Like I said earlier, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but they get mad and upset when we come to our government place, but they won't say anything about it. They don't care about the causes that we're sending billions of dollars overseas or Southern America to stop funding. But,
Yeah. So you think it's good or bad policy?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic policy. The southern border, not locking it down, but monitoring it. I want to see that wall being built. Everything the libs were trying to undo. Liberals, they hate the idea that, well, why would you not want security in your country? And then to, have to threaten them with federal funding, I think it was Maine's governor or Vermont's governor saying, oh, well, we'll see you in court. They're
Yeah.
welcome here. I mean, well, I thought it was great when they started, I think that it was Ron DeSantis or the Texas governor, that started sending the boatloads of immigrants to these sanctuary cities and dropping off in front of the White House. And I mean, that was a pretty rock and roll out of control
Yeah.
move,
I don't know how they look at that, man. I don't.
Well,
I mean,
it's you want this? Well, we're gonna dump them in your backyard then. you know, if you want, if this is what you truly believe and this is what you want, then here you go. Look at New York City. New York City's begging
Well, I know they were talking about they were shutting down the hotels.
the
Like
federal
that's
government.
a coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, they were, New York City was, mad at the Republicans. Of course, that place is run by liberal, but they were very, since Giuliani, but they were very upset though that, about trying to control who's coming in and screen and vest and catch and release and stuff like that. But when we started dumping them off in their backyard by the busload, New York had a different opinion all of a sudden.
Yeah.
When they're sleeping in the streets, when they're they're taking money for you know education, hotels, vehicles, living expenses.
Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, somebody's getting paid. Somebody's getting paid. The question is, how do they? I don't know if it's how do they stop it or, I mean, who knows? Like, I just don't know.
It's well, they're
Do
getting,
you stop it? Like,
illegals are getting paid.
somebody that's an entrepreneur or something is getting paid to do that or be that way or, in terms of.
I don't think that it's not necessarily a private entity that's benefiting it. In my opinion, it's purely a liberal point of view. It's to my opinion, it's almost the same thing as abortion. You're not going to be Dems are not going to be pro-life. Republicans are, and that's been whether states' rights. That's been a debate since the beginning of time. But you can't say that we're not paying for it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm messing with the cameras here, man.
And now we've got to pay to get them all out. Is something wrong?
No, I was just messing with the cameras. There we go.
And now they're upset over that the Democrats are upset that we're cleaning a house and they're
But
saying,
how do you legally? I guess that's another thing too. If you have an apartment complex or a hotel that has paying individuals, just because people say, hey, that it's full of immigrants, can't kick a door in, but the Constitution still applies because what if you kick one door in and it's not an immigrant? You get what I'm saying? Like you just violated
well,
the U.S. law kind of thing.
there's
The most protected thing in this country is that front door, a residence.
yeah, very true. But it doesn't stop us from when we're 100% positive that cartels are holding up there or something like that. A known drug house. I mean, you'll get warrants every day. That's why it's a warrants needed to do that.
Well, right, and then on the warrant side, you have to know exactly which room. You have to describe and have a name, right? That's another thing too, that you have to have identification on that individual. You can't just kick in. Well, wrong door, wrong door.
Yeah, no.
Let's go 2 more doors down. Wrong door. I mean,
Yeah,
and
no.
they can't put it on the whole structure because there are probably, if I were to guess, I would assume that there's somebody there that actually using their services.
Well,
It's a U.S. citizen.
I would say if they're going to do that, then you know what? You need to provide legal papers or identification on every one of your residents. And that way, we don't even have to go that route of kicking down doors. And my big thing too is instead of sending the money, the targets that we should have also, which I haven't heard of yet, is employers. If you are employing illegals, then something needs to happen. I don't know if it's fine or what.
Well, the thing is, to legally employ, they have that e-verification. That is, I do know that when that came around, I was a
Okay.
restaurant manager at the time, and I remember that was a major fear for every operator of a restaurant because everybody would come in
Yeah.
with a social security card, and who am I to say, hey, I don't accept that? Is it a social security card? Yes. Do you have identification? Yes. So you hire them, but and that was one strategy a lot of those cats did would say, hey, I'm married and have 10 kids, so they didn't pay any taxes. They literally were at the bottom of the scale when it comes to the tax side, because they're all married and kids like probably 14, but he's saying he's 18 and he's got all the identification. I mean, I don't want to, because what if I'm wrong? What if he just happens to be young and you say, oh, no, I'm actually a citizen? Now again, it's the fear of you don't want to violate someone's rights either.
I don't understand what the difference is between having a social security card and an ID versus e-verification. What's the difference?
Well, e-verification, is from what I'm familiar with, is that if you want to get paid by an employer, there are certain, it may be every state now. When it first came about, restaurants, e-verification is the government's way of checking to make sure that person has a legal social security card to work in this country. Not every business is required to be that. There's just businesses, I think it was either tax breaks. I mean, I don't know why anybody, why if there was advantages or they kind of said, hey, we'll give you a break here and there. But at the end of the day, I think it was a law that they said, hey, you have to be on e-verification. I've never seen another business do an e-verify on an application if you hire somebody or something like that. But so if I hire an individual, I take their social security card and then I go to a database. Okay, so I go to the database and I say, type in that social security, type in that name, and it says, well, it's been verified and they can work. So then I can hire them. And that's the checkpoint that most restaurants and most of the industry has now. So that did, but here was the caveat. If you were already there when this came out, you could stay in place. That was the caveat.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Like if somebody was already in place, they weren't going to mess with you. They weren't going to.
You mean in place, you mean working?
Yeah, when they made that happen, when E-Verify came about, it was anybody after the E-Verification. So if you had a whole kitchen or a whole industry or a whole, construction site, whatever, programming, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying this is one area not of labor, but if you have a workforce that's already with you, and when E-Verify came, I'm going to look it up too.
What about if they switch jobs?
That's the thing. When they switch jobs, now you get E-Verified. So it's almost like, hey, if you ever leave this position,
You better be on time.
you better be on time. So I mean, I do
I'm
remember
willing to
that.
work weekends and stay late.
So I do remember that. That was something
Okay.
that when that came about, that it was scaring the heck out of everybody.
Well, it should be the same thing for voting.
Well, and that's what's crazy is they already have something in place to verify that if you're a U.S. citizen or you have a green card, they already have it in place.
Why
So
are the
you would.
Democrats so against that?
Voters.
Voters.
I'm assuming, but who says that the Democrats are adopting the immigration side? I don't know. Why just because they say, hey, we'll open the borders. It's a good plan.
Look at Nancy Pelosi. Look at Gavin Newsom. They practically invited illegals. But I'm just saying, and those employers though get tax breaks the more people that are employed. So that may be another reason why they don't want to use E-Verify. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah. Okay, because you remember back in the day, it was all about. I don't want my camera keeps messing with me here, or I keep messing with it. Back in the day, it was the I-9 form. You remember that? You had to fill out a form. Physically fill out a form.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, that's. I don't know if that accompanies. It's been so long since I've been in that position, but.
I think if I remember right, and I worked for the same company for so many years, but I just wonder if that I-9, I thought, from what I remember, that verifies you with the IRS and makes sure that and your employer and make sure that they are reported to with the wages that you're making. Is that not true? I don't think it was something to identify you necessarily as it was.
The E-Verifier? Well, no, because nobody checked
form.
that. The I-9 form, the employer was responsible
Oh, geez.
about keeping the documentation, and the system, there was no system for that. Does that make sense? Like, as long as you gave me a piece of paper and I agreed to it saying, hey, yeah, no, that's a social security card. And oh, yeah, okay, here's an ID. I can allow you and hire you. And there's no other verification other than that. Now, when I file taxes at the end of the year, I would say, hey, this person would owe this and that. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, this person doesn't exist. And then eventually, if there's someone paying attention, they would come to me and say, hey, that person isn't legit or blah, blah, blah. But see what they did now, and that was in 1999 or 2002, it says ends the I-9 requirement flexibility. And then,
It ended it.
yeah, because I'll put this up on the screen here. Let me see if I can.
That's a fox in the hen house right there.
Yeah,
You
so
know?
it's just,
You know, I've the whole thing with you know, voting and stuff like that, and the Democrats do not want the voters to have to show ID. Now, why would that be?
yes.
You know, I've got to show ID to get a six-pack.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of the, you know, everybody makes fun of it because it's like, I don't understand because, and it says here in 2007 is when they announced the new verification I-9 form. So when the I-9 form came along, that's the online verification. So as an employer, you give me the I-9, I see your card, I see this, then I have to go type that number in and it'll say, yes, I can hire this person. That was the rule in 2007. Okay, so that changed. But again, they had stipulations saying if you were already in place, you know, because a mass exit, you know, a mass, nobody could, the restaurants are shutting down. I mean, that's no good for business or anybody. So I think that's why they did that.
Well,
Welcome in.
not you know, yard crews and kitchen staff and stuff like that are gonna have the same job for since 2007. I guarantee you they're not still working there in 2025.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and that's the thing, as long as we're talking about kind of like social security cards and stuff like that. In 2007 is when they switched to where you can just give a piece of paper that looks like a social security card to an employer and you can work. And I'm pretty sure everywhere you go to Canada, you go here, as long as you have some piece of paper and you convince that employer, you can work for them, right? So with that said, in 2007, they switched to an electronic program where you can actually verify, hey, this social security that's in front of me works, this name matches, and here you go. Well, something also that they don't really talk about is when they, at the end of the year, file those taxes, there's no tax return. Okay, so that's just free money for the government, first off, right? But then also, anybody that comes into the restaurant, they have 5 wives and 10 kids. So they're already at the bottom of that tax. If I don't even know if there's still kind of a mandatory, maybe a state mandatory tax that you pay, even though if you have full, you know, what do you call it, discounts or whatever you know, the dependents and stuff like that. So
yeah, I don't know about that. What I thought was very interesting, which I was watching for and waiting for religiously daily, was for that conversation to come out about what was going to happen to an illegal couple that came illegally and then had a child here on U.S. soil.
well, the birthright,
The birthright.
yeah.
And I was really waiting to see. I'm like, man, that's a catch-22 right there, you know.
Yeah.
And it was, if I'm not mistaken, just to verify, that was overturned, wasn't it? They could not be an American citizen if the parents were both illegals.
What I think it's still ongoing.
Is it?
You're talking about birthright citizenship?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think right now they're still.
I thought that I heard that it was denied, and that was
Well, I think it's in court.
a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Oh,
Yeah,
it's in court.
it's in court because they're fighting, going, hey, for whatever reason, they're saying, hey, the citizenship, and I know Trump had mentioned that it was about the slavery, because slaves coming over and then they wouldn't be citizens and they were part of, you know, obviously part of the crew, part of the family, part of the everything. Unfortunately, they were slaves, but
Very
that's how
interesting.
I guess that they solved that problem back in the day. But that's what he's saying, that's where that came from. Birthright citizenship was because of that situation, slavery.
I'm a Marine Corps vet, and I bleed red, white, and blue. And I'll tell you what, that's an issue. I'm really torn on. You know, whether that birthright just would have that citizenship or not. You know, it's just
So you agree with it or you disagree with it?
I'm torn on it. I don't know. I mean, I think if you're born on U.S. soil, then you're an American, and that's just. But at the same time, if you're entered in, or the parents do this, if you're born on U.S. soil, you've done nothing wrong technically, right?
Yeah.
It's the parents.
Yeah.
But if
But does
you-
any other country have that? You know, isn't that what they're saying that no other country has?
if you're born on that soil,
Birthright
you're a
citizen?
citizen.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. I think that you're probably. I mean, 'cause I just remember if you're a U.S. citizen and you give birth to a baby, or say you're a military couple that's stationed in Germany, to U.S. Navy members, then I mean you're still an American citizen, even though you were born in Europe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And so, I mean, you couldn't declare, it'd be like, you know, you're stationed over there, and then you were born in Germany, so you're declaring that you're a German? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. You know, what's the answer? You know, what's the solve? What's the
That's why I'm not sure whether I disagree or agree with it, but I mean, at the same time, what do you do with a child that the parents are deported? Turn them over to DCF or DCS?
well, they won't. I mean, I guess that's the issue is they won't deport. As of now, it is birthright citizenship unless they put a pause on it. You know, and then if you you know, kind of like saying like, well, you know, separating families. Well, if somebody, you know, if you or I get a DUI or commit a crime, we'll go to jail and we're separated from our family too. So that's just a good, you know, question of what happens. I don't know. You know, if anybody got any comment, key in.
I mean, I know,
you know what you think.
Child Protective Services would, but it seems to me like people would do that just to, parents would do that just to claim their birthright citizenship. Is that,
Yeah, I'm looking.
everything can be so manipulated, you know, and
Let's see what they say here. We're gonna look up and see what countries have birthright here. Birthright citizenship countries: India, Pakistan, Japan. Oh, restricted citizenship. So it's restricted. But what does that mean?
what does that mean?
So it mean like you don't access like healthcare and stuff like that. I don't know.
You
Let's
couldn't
see.
be a citizen without then, well, but you can't have health care. You can't have both.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious. We'll have to research more about that. So the original here it's saying India. Give me just a second. Transition here. When I'm looking it up, it says India, Egypt, Thailand, Italy, Spain. It's all restricted. I mean, but it
Restricted
doesn't.
for what?
It just says restricted. So I'm just curious what does that mean? Taiwan, Ukraine even has restricted citizenship. You know, so
I'm curious to know what restricted citizenship is.
yeah. Let's see if I can.
I was stationed in Spain for about 18, 19 months.
Sweden.
So-
Oh, that's another thing. So with the whole them giving us like 10%, 20% back of what they save, they're talking. You know, Sweden, I believe, is the only country that actually pays their citizens because they're so rich. Now,
What is
stop
it?
me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is the case.
I've never, what do you mean pays or,
Like they get money from the government. It's like the opposite. Instead of paying the government for taxes, they actually, because the banking system and all that stuff that they've done, they're so rich in cash that they pay their citizens. People go there to try to become citizens because they want to be in the banking and partake in. And it's probably what other countries are saying about us. Like, hey, you go there, you got free healthcare, you got free housing, you got, you know,
well,
health, you know, you got everything else.
how do they get rich then if do they not charge taxes? Is that what you mean?
See, and then it says right here, See if I transition over.
'Cause the last I heard, I've never heard Sweden being known for oil or minerals or technology out, stuff they're selling to the rest of the world.
Yeah. So unrestricted, right here. It says so. So unrestricted U.S. citizenship, Brazil's unrestricted citizenship. Is that Tasmania?
I like
Mexico's unrestricted. Canada, well, I guess Canada is unrestricted. Peru, Venezuela. So I'm just curious what they mean by.
I'd like to know the definition of unrestricted.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see. Like I said, I don't. It was a long time ago looking up Sweden, but they were talking about like it's such a wealthy country.
Wow.
Yeah, that there's so many benefits. Let's see here. I'm not a fast typer. Bear with me.
No worries. I mean, the while you're typing it in, Jesse, the U.S. too. I mean, if we didn't, we're in debt, and I think that we're at the point now where a couple of years back where we're just paying on the interest.
Yeah.
You
So it says, what does citizenship mean? So Swedish
Unrestricted.
unrestricted. Yeah. Or what does it say? Okay. Yeah. So that's not.
Unrestricted citizenship. So far, those places that had it, Venezuela, those are places I wouldn't want to live anyways.
So according to the current regulations, the main rule is that a person must have a residence. So they have to have a residence in Sweden for at least 5 years. So that is not even like,
So you can go there.
that's not even birthright. That's just,
It's kind of like having a change of address.
yeah, you change your address for 5 years and hold a permanent residence permit to be granted citizenship. So,
So you can go there not being a citizen, and as long as you live in the same residence or have a residence for 5 years, you're a unrestricted.
yeah. Adoption, a child who's under the age of 12. Sweden introduces, what is that? Regulation for citizenship. The Swedish government recently opposed legal amendments that would impose stricter citizenship rules by notification requirements, enhancing protection for. So I mean, it's not, it's not unheard of to see birthright citizenship. I know there are some countries that you have to actually be in the army.
Oh well, no, you know what though? On that, the U.S. is one of the only countries on the planet that do not require at least 2 years of service. I remember all of Europe did. When I was in Spain, as I mentioned before, for 18 months, those Spanish, they've got to serve at least 2 years when they graduate. In Germany, I know all through Europe they do. I don't know as far as the other continents, but that's what I was told, or that's what I read while being over there. Every citizen has to do at least 2 years military service for their country. The U.S. is one of the only ones that we're the only. I'm not going to say for sure 100%, but I heard that we're one of the only. Obviously, in every nation, Switzerland, neutral, and stuff like that. But U.S. is one of the only countries that does not require their citizens, and I disagree with that. Not that that fact, but I mean I disagree with that policy. I think that quite
You
possibly,
think everybody should be in the military?
there's some people that
Think positive, negative, pros and cons. What do you think?
Well, no, because I mean there's athletes.
I mean, could that be something that happens? World War III comes about. I mean,
Well,
that would be a mass exodus.
You're talking draft now, but I mean, look at what it would do for. I don't think it should be mandatory. Unless you're sitting on the couch, but no. But I mean, you can't. judge that. I mean, just look at high school basketball players. Look at you know
Because
football players.
they couldn't they'd have to
They
go
couldn't,
into
yeah.
or
They couldn't go
I've
into
heard like
school.
if you have a college entry program then you don't have to, like if you get into college then you don't have to go, like I'm just trying to think of the different I've heard different views of that, but
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's that would be definitely a requirement not to go. If or if you were accepted to a trade school and say for your university, but then what happens? What happens if you go for a year and decide that you don't like it, or you want to go to work instead, or you take a half semester just so that you don't have to go?
well you're going to war or you're going to at least go get trained,
Yeah,
right? I mean that's just how
well,
should they shorten it? That's
Well,
how they.
yeah.
So instead of doing, hey, you got to do 4 years, right? Is that a typical 4 years?
I know. No, I wouldn't say 4 years. I would say maybe 2. Because I mean, what if you go to a trade school, be an electrician, be a plumber? I mean, anymore. If I had it all over to do, I wouldn't go to a 4-year school. I would go to a trade school. That has a lot to do, and a lot of people disagree. I'm not sure whether I do or not, but Charlie Kirk, his whole concept, college is a scam.
Well, when you say who you talking about?
Charlie Kirk, he is man, the guy's sharp, quick-minded, almost like, he's like another Ben Shapiro,
Yeah.
and
So he's a definite debater.
definitely a debater, and he's got some great, fantastic points, and some stuff, 95% of stuff I agree with him about, I think it was only one subject that I won't even name that I don't agree with him about. It's pretty controversial, but
Not to mention, you mean?
yeah.
I got you.
But for the most part, though, and that's what he's saying, and hearing his reasoning for that will blow your mind. It did mine. I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. College is a scam in the beginning, but then hearing his reasoning,
So you don't believe in college education at all?
no, that's not true. That's not what I'm saying. Well, yeah, it kind of is what I said.
Okay,
but
so give me. So obviously,
I don't mean
trade
that.
schools are important because you have to have plumbers, electricians, etc. Right? You got your tech schools, right? Automotive, you know.
I think that when you spend $150,000 on an education, and your major was culinary studies, and
Hey, but I mean, there is legitimate
or not
culinary
yeah, that-
schools, right? Or I guess that I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
that's not necessarily a college; it's like a specialized
yeah.
college or
I'm
something.
saying if you go in for biology and pay to get a degree in biology, and you come out and you work in culinary services. I mean, you're not getting your money's worth out of that,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, but not everybody's gonna be a doctor or a lawyer, which in that situation, but a lot of and I understand why they do. A lot of jobs require a bachelor's degree. I understand that. So
Well, it was considered a super privilege too. Like there was, and that's another thing you hadn't heard a lot about is the scandals. There was a ton of scandals with people just buying their way in. Man, you talk about pissing people off.
what are you referring to?
Well, there was people paying their way like to get into entries and classes and stuff like that. Or, you could pretty much instead of like say Harvard, say, hey, I'm not using Harvard specifically. I can't remember the school, but they pretty much you would just pay money and you would get into the school. When there's a ton of people fighting for SATs and trying to get the best grades possible to get into a school, they were paying off the administrator to just bypass and
There had to be something that they were some kind of
well, that's what it
legal
was
situation where
it was a
they,
huge
yeah.
deal.
Seems like, if they're not taking them off their SAT or entrance exams or something like that, I don't even see what the purpose would be. Well, you failed that, but you can give me $5,000. I don't think that's very ethical, first of all.
Oh no, there's a whole scandal about it.
I wonder where that was.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
I had not heard that. Are you, is anybody, has anything to add, comments or anything so
Let's see
far?
here.
I've
No,
got-
we just got guys watching. That's okay. If you got anything to add, I'm just trying to remember what school it was. And of course, if you would think it'd be all over, but it's like it just
When
got
did that
so quiet. I swear it was a year ago.
Well, they, a year ago, they were able to bury anything to the fifth inch that,
Oh, here it is. A total of 50 people nationwide were charged with the largest college admission scam ever prosecuted at the Justice Department. Officials say those arrested included scam administrators, coaches, elite schools, and nearly 36 parents, including actresses, etc.
and they were caught doing what exactly?
Pretty much, it's like if you were my son, I could pay money and you could just get right in.
Wow.
Like
Where
there's
was that
the
at?
whole process of getting in. You would just, because you have money, you pay and you bypass all the millions of people that work their ass off to get into that.
Was that a state or was that a specific college?
I think that was a college. Let me
It'd have to be a college. I mean,
see if it actually.
I can't imagine them getting away with a private college, not some state or a federally funded university. I can't even imagine.
So this was in 2019.
Oh, it's not that far back.
The deeds here, yeah. So the whole thing was orchestrated by William Rick Singer, who would set up the bribes and work with the psychologists and to get the students fake disability reports so they would be able to get special testing. A few different schools targeted scandal: University of Southern California, University of Southern California, Los
USC?
Angeles, yeah, Georgetown University seemed to be the most popular choices for
Wow.
these parents to buy their kids a spot.
I've
I
got
mean, that's
two
what I'm saying.
words.
But you know that's happening. You know that this is the only time that they got caught.
Yeah, I never realized that was, I know that I had heard of Ivy League's big donors and stuff like that, that there's no way that her child was not going to be accepted.
Yeah,
Or
she was an actor. That's how I remember now. I'm trying
family
to.
names, and I've got two words for you, Jesse.
What?
You want to hear? Bernie Madoff comes to mind.
Yeah.
I know those are two totally different crimes, but
So the headline was pretty much everyone knows about the Full House star paying $500,000 to get her daughters, plural, Olivia Jade and Isabel Rose, into USC. She was sentenced to 2 months in prison and had to pay $150,000 fine and 100 community. See, that's not enough. Like you paid $500,000 to do this scandal. That should be like times 4, and it go to the students.
how long did she get in prison?
What did I say? 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah. 2 months to pay off students, but it's not just. It's more to me. I think it's more about the public trust. If you
That's-
it's no different than like a police officer that's doing something they shouldn't be doing. You have a community trust, a public trust that hey, you act a certain way and you are fair. If anything, by God, these people are fair and
Oh,
just. But they're literally, and I guarantee you, they just got caught probably because they're just not that smart.
you know what? They if they're going
Probably
to
because
get-
like her mom and her mom and her mom did it.
if they have that kind of money, that family name, that kind of thing, 2 months in prison isn't it like cut in half automatically, basically.
Oh, for good behavior.
Yeah, for good
yeah.
behavior.
She served 2 weeks.
Yeah, by the time you get, that's not even time enough to get a toothbrush and get a uniform. So basically, she went to the Beverly Hills Polo Club lockup, white collar, basically a country club. Was that?
Yeah.
I mean, so gosh, that'd be like going to camp or something like that.
Yeah.
Going to summer camp.
It's to me that's insane. Like it's insane for anybody to do something like that. That's major because there's a lot of people that work their butt off to get into school or apply for school or get in. Whatever. But at the end of the day, you know,
I wonder
they
how
worked
many
their butt
people
off.
have done that and how did they get caught?
Yeah, I don't know.
And where was that $500,000 going to? Was that going to?
Yeah, what about all the people? Because it says she went to jail, but what about all the other bribes? I mean, that had to be. You telling me just one person did that?
No, it had to be somebody referred her to do that. You gotta remember that, you know. And she got administrative access, it sounds like, direct to grease the palms, you know.
No.
But I mean, where did that, it seems to me it make a difference. Was it a donation to, say, the library?
Yeah,
And-
I highly doubt. I'm sure it was on yacht. It's somebody's yacht.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
yeah.
the thing is, they're the only ones that got caught.
Is it
Because
being
wherever that
somebody-
money went, they should do the forensic accounting on it and figure out who, other large payments, where'd they come from? Why didn't they dig deeper? You know?
Well, they probably didn't want to know the truth, actually, but that sounds like a mission for Doge, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But I know that it's not government wasteful spending; it's government bribes, though. It's government fraud, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I just was curious to know where that $500,000 went. If it went to build a building that was going to be named after her, donated building, or whether it's a donation to the college fund itself, or was that is the person that received that, did it pay for a Caribbean vacation 6 times a year? I mean, you know, who got that money, and what was the intent, what was the purpose, what was it used for, is what I'd really like to know. And that sounds like a mission for the Geek Squad from Elon Musk.
Well, and I'm sure they only go as far as they want to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the.
Who knows, if they've done that once, they've done it before, you know? It's,
Let's see what's going on here. What else we have? Oh, latest. A pretty serious actor died.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
I thought that was so strange yesterday. I was reading about that when that first broke, and they had his wife, Gene Hackman was 95. First of all,
Is he really 95?
He's 95, I couldn't believe it. And going through, I didn't realize what, like, I've been over 5 decades in movies and stuff. I retired early 2000s, but, you know, like Hoosiers, Mississippi Burning, Bonnie and Clyde. I mean, it was just fantastic roles. But they found him, enough about that, sorry, I kind of went on a tangent.
But those are good movies. Like, he did some
fantastic.
Clint Eastwood stuff.
Unforgiven.
FBI agent in Mississippi Burning, like you were saying.
Hoosiers was one of my favorites too. I'm a big basketball fan, but
He was Doyle and Jimmy in Popeye. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
I
No.
don't know. Oh.
But to find the actual case was
Superman, the original bad guy, Luthor. Superman, wasn't he?
I don't remember that.
He was Lex Luthor in the original Superman.
Was he?
Yeah. Yeah. From,
That makes me want to see that again.
I know that was a good movie.
Oh, the best.
This is a great movie.
1980s, you know. But they, you know, the dog, his wife, and him were all found together. The neighbors had called for a welfare check after they hadn't seen him for a few weeks, is what I read. They said at the time there's no foul play suspected, and then I heard then 2 hours later, but it wasn't ruled out. And then I heard probable was carbon monoxide. So and they had been there for rigor mortis had set in. So I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, that's pretty insane.
And if I read that he had a $4.8 million ranch in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I mean,
I wouldn't think that they would have not high tech stuff.
how would you
I mean,
not
even
be
carbon
taxed?
monoxide,
Right.
unless it was built, 20 years ago and they've never updated it or.
Even 20 years ago in houses, I mean, what are the chances that you're going to get especially for 4.8 million, for carbon monoxide. I just don't get that doesn't make sense. And usually when it doesn't make sense is because it's not true.
Yeah.
Is what I've learned from on this planet.
Well, and they said, so he was born in 1930, Santa Bernardino, California. He died 95, like you said, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Active years 59 to 2004. He had 3 kiddos. He had military service. Marine Corps.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh
Marine Corps
yeah.
guy?
I knew that. And that was one of the first thing when I was in high school that really turned me on to him. I really admired all military, and I just had a love for the Marine
I guess-
Corps, and that's why. That's why
Yeah.
I went.
Here's a picture of old Hugh Jackman. Look at that dude. The old black and white.
Oh, black and white.
Old black and white.
And
God bless his soul, rest his soul,
yeah. I mean, but what was the wife's? I know it's the second wife, but they've been happened got divorced from the first wife in '86, and I think that he got remarried in I think it was '92 or '93, and they've been together ever since. But she was, I think, I know she was younger than him. I'm not sure by how much. I thought it was 10 to 20 years, somewhere in there.
You said you did say Bonnie and Clyde, right? 1967. I mean, obviously I haven't seen it, but that was one of the first movies he.
I don't think that he was. That was the one. I can't. I don't. He wasn't the black and white one.
Oh, it wasn't black and white.
No, it wasn't black and white. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that he was in.
Well, here's a list. So, The Hunting Party, Academy Award best. He was best actor for that. And then Young Frankenstein. I didn't know he was in Young Frankenstein. I'm trying to think where he introducing his cameo in Young Frankenstein over the next 3 years, making him. After The French Connection, Hugh Jackman starred in 10 films.
Young
Frankenstein. Well, I just want to know what position he was in Young Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. That sounds like
That was a great movie.
wasn't that like a comedy? Like,
Oh man, that's one of the best that's like old school
like Seth
comedies.
Meyers or something.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm trying to think of Brendan Fraser. Isn't Brendan Fraser in that? I'd never seen it, so that's.
It's in Young Frankenstein, man. It was a comedy. It's a really good comedy too, by the way. Mel Brooks. He was a Mel Brooks.
Oh.
Mel Brooks film. I love Mel Brooks. Man.
Mel Brooks, great.
He had a great documentary out not too long ago.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, no, he had a great documentary. But Young Frankenstein, man, they don't make them like that anymore. They just don't. Okay, so this gives you an idea. Okay, the budget for that movie, it's a black and white movie.
Which one?
Young Frankenstein.
Okay.
And they argued with the director based on that because they did not want the style of the black and white. But the budget for that movie was $2.7 million, and the box office was $86 million. That's insane.
Was
Like,
there more modern?
that was back in the day.
Was that the one that Gene Hackman was in?
Yeah, no, that was, well,
I
it
thought
says
that was
Young
more.
Frankenstein, but I don't know any other Young Frankensteins that were at least notable.
And it says when was it released?
Release date, there's no way that was released in 1974.
There's no way. That's the.
That movie is
it's
such
been
a-
redone. It's been redone.
I mean, that movie is not a 1970. Like, I could watch that movie today and it's good.
I think for some reason Brendan Fraser and stuff like that come to mind. That had to be a. It's probably. I mean, absolutely a remake.
Yeah.
So, a modern remake. It's the one that I remember.
Well, he was the
was
original-
in color.
Because even Mel Brooks directed that and written by Gene Wilder, right?
Yeah.
Mel Brooks, you remember that Mel Brooks is the, what comedy, you remember Mel Brooks, right?
I do, and Gene Wilder too.
He did Spaceballs.
Who did?
Mel Brooks, yeah.
I
Those,
can't.
those are
uh,
old school movies too, man.
He
Like,
was in something too. That was classic. I mean, not pinpoint the name of it right.
you'll think about it in a
I'll
second.
think about it. And,
Young Frankenstein, man, what a great movie.
but that Bonnie and Clyde. Curious see if you type in Gene Hackman and Bonnie and Clyde, what that would bring up, or Hackman and Bonnie and Clyde.
See if I can find a good.
I know the one I'm thinking of is not in black and white, but he played that. He played Clyde's brother,
Uh-huh.
and that he was fantastic.
One of my favorite scenes is you haven't touched your food because he's super pissed.
I know. You haven't even touched your.
So he's already into this where he's having problems with Frankenstein.
Is that Gene Wilder?
This is Gene. Yeah, no, this is Mel Brooks.
Okay.
Mel
Okay.
Brooks. Wait,
His hair-
now you're confusing me.
His hair looks like Gene Wilder.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta go back there because then I can't believe you're gonna get me all afraid. I can't believe I forgot now. It's one of my favorite movies. So that's what I'm saying. Directed by Mel Brooks, right?
Right.
Gene Wilder is the actor.
Right.
Okay. Both of them I love. It's just been so long since I've seen those two. But
That's Gene Wilder's hair right there.
yes,
That's
he was
Gene
famous
Wilder.
by that.
That's him.
There. Now I've touched it. Happy?
You know what my favorite was? He was great in Willy Wonka at Chocolate Factory, but my favorite Gene Wilder movie is him and Richard Pryor, See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
Oh yeah, Richard Pryor, man, that's another one.
What are you, deaf? What are you, blind?
I've forgotten about. Like you said, those are just really good movies, man. Like
And
people
they
forget
were
they don't
saying-
write any. Give me an example of a good, just damn good movie you've seen in a while that just blows you away. Comedy or anything.
that I've seen recently. That's from,
Don't think 80s. You got to think past 2020, 2015. Let's do 2015. And even if it's not close, it's not 80s. It has to be 2000.
I'm kind of biased about anything over 2000. I thought 80s and 90s were the best, but I would say for recent, I don't know, or even our Adam Sandler films rolled out.
No, Adam Sandler's. It's
I mean, I don't remember when he's from.
he's still making movies. So I mean,
I know he's not as new as 2015. I'm just trying to think of.
Well, he seems like he puts out a movie every 5 years or so.
Yeah, right.
See, this is the Zelensky interview.
And it's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Board Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal as well?
A little bit, we'll see,
On LNG?
but we're not really looking for that. So
Look how nervous he looks nervous, bud. He looks nervous. What do you think?
I think that he looks kind of
I mean, he's almost going like Clint Blackwood, isn't he? He's like some sunglasses.
I think he looks kind of intimidated myself, but
Well, I couldn't imagine the stress that dude's under.
well, can you imagine being sitting
we're more
a
than
foot and a half away from Donald Trump and being
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also.
The world is watching.
For the most part, no.
And sir,
Putin's probably like texting Donald Trump because they talk, right?
yeah,
All the major leaders talk, but he's like, "Hey man, would you mind slapping that guy for me?" Like,
Yeah.
he can't. He knows where he's at. And the thing is, maybe they all know where each other's at. It's about winning the battle at hand, not assassinating each other. I mean, I don't
I would
know.
like to see all three of them together at one time.
Yeah.
And let's get to the bottom of this. Let's work it out
Well,
here.
supposedly there's supposed to be something like that happening. So
What they should do, we'd have results faster than anything, is that Zelensky, Putin, and Trump got together. Everybody was made to drink 4 or 5 fireballs and have 2 beers before they went into a meeting. And have that meeting instead of a local bar.
a little shindig.
A little shindig.
Yeah.
During a happy hour. And then by 7 o'clock, the world would be fixed.
Yeah.
Is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase US LNG as part of the deal?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't need that.
I love you.
Just because that's a new call, not the one.
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay, how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did you?
Are you serious with that?
Man, I would not want to piss
I think
Trump off, dude. Like, he's kind of proven
East of Ukraine, not far from the front lines, and
you don't talk smack during his interview.
Why
You
would
do.
you ever make that man mad?
I know. Well, he remember like he used to say, "You don't talk to me that." I mean, he used to do a lot
Oh,
of
you
stuff.
said you're a nasty person.
Yeah,
to
he
those
does.
reporters.
But they don't do it anymore.
No,
They don't do it anymore.
he's straightened them out, but I mean, once in a while you'll see CBS in there, but you know, when they don't have the guts to say it to his face, but they'll say it in an interview on MSNBC or CNN, and you know what, you don't get to be worth $6 or $7 billion by being a punk or
Talk shit to you.
letting somebody, you just don't do that. That's just fine.
Well, I wonder if are these reputable? I can't say it, reputable. Of reporters, or these guys they hire like off the street just to go in there and get fired? You know, it's like, they're not the actual, people that work for whoever,
Yeah, well, I know that when a decision's made or a event's happening, MSNBC, CNN, CBS, they'll all start interviewing each other instead of having from the network.
Yeah.
They start doing it. The person has a show this hour. The person has a show 2 hours from then. They'll start interviewing each other, which is and Fox does it too.
Yeah.
When Fox does it when there's nothing happening. No.
Well, I think they pissed the White House pissed a lot of people off, which in a good way, because they pretty much said, "Hey, this isn't just for the major news networks anymore." So they were actually putting an invite out for anybody on social media that's like a reputable. I say reputable, that may have like actual news credibility to come into the White House. So they were letting influencers, they were letting people that out of all it doesn't matter as long as that they had a stream and a following. They were letting them into the White House briefing instead of like your Fox News, all the CBS, all those guys are like, hey, you guys are moving off the front. You no longer have, the rights to this house anymore because you guys disrespected it whenever.
Well, I watched that probably 3 times a week, 4 times a week. The wrestling. I recently, about 5 days ago, saw a picture of the White House briefing room. And that thing is so much smaller than it looks on during the actual briefings going on.
Well, they never used to bring it like a back shot where you could actually see.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah, they always just had those first 2, 3 people,
And
and
the
it was like
first-
limited to who could see it,
Right.
But
But,
we always
I
see
mean,
it.
that's thank God it's like that though. Have you heard any time that a question's been answered? That
Yeah.
everybody's trying to have.
Yeah.
And
What about Uganda? They just just random stuff. Like what? What are you talking about? Like keep it to the subject matter.
and that I told you that that press secretary's 27. I think.
The blonde.
Yeah, 27 or
Man,
28.
she is a pistol.
And I have not seen my favorite of all time was Kayleigh McEnany. I think the runner-up was Ari Fleischer during the Bush administration, George W. But this girl, I was worried. I was worried about her being only 27 and experience having a 6-month 6-month-old baby at home during this job, and she has not let me down. She has not let the president down. She's not shut this country down. As sharp as they come.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. Well, I mean, I think Trump has good skills when he selects his people. I don't know. Yeah, he's making great decisions. So,
Well, you don't get to be worth $6-7 billion by being anybody's dummy.
I think it's
you know?
more than that, isn't it? Or is it? I don't know.
I can't remember. It was 6 or 7. I don't know if it. Yeah, you know. I heard 6 or 7 billion. I can't remember which. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, when the MSNBC was throwing mud and trying to see what stuck, you know, and then they always tie Elon into the billionaires club, like, you know, and if anything, I mean, I'm just so happy that both Trump and Elon are, you know, are
Getting along.
Getting along. I mean, the media tries to divide them, you know, but make them think that Elon's really president and everything like that. Both those gentlemen just love this country, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And they're fixing it. They're doing right by it. You know, there's no other millionaires or billionaires or anything like that are getting any kind of break or anything like that.
Well, it seemed like some of the narrative was billionaires, you know, get the billionaire. Like, these guys are literally becoming millionaires because they're stealing from the government or they're stealing from the United States citizens. So,
right. You see Nancy Pelosi's house. I mean, she's been a federal employee for a public servant for all of her life, and somehow she's got a. Anyways, I won't even go into that. But I will say this.
I don't know. I haven't seen pictures of it, but
I have.
I'm sure that
I
they have a strategy that, or, you know, they know certain people that know certain things and they do the same thing. Now, it could be like the How to Get Rich as a Congressman book that nobody else gets to share in, that maybe it's just that's the mutual, you know, maybe that's the mutual thing. I don't know.
I would love to have a look into her financials and Elon Musk and team doing that, but I got to tell you this real quick. The after the election in 2020, after
Push that way a little bit. And
Donald had done
push
this,
it and turn it. No.
push it and turn it.
This way. Just
Oh.
the other way. There you go.
After that presidency of trying to be impeached every week for 4 years and had so much stress and crap talked about you and everything like that. With Trump, I mean, this is proof that he loves this country. I would have been like, you know what? Re-election, you can have this stupid job. I'm out of here. I'm going to Tahiti.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. He can do anything he wants. He's already imagine. And again, yeah, I agree with you. Imagine having all the money in the world, literally, because I think it's only like after so many $1 billion, you're like, hey, you know, what do you want to do? I mean, there's people that say, hey, I got retirement, I'm out. So imagine having all that ability to do whatever, and he's spending his life, because it's stressful.
And
imagine the stress of saying, hey, you're going to jail and you're a billionaire.
And your family
Or
attacked,
possibly
you're attacked,
jail.
and your family's attacked, and everything, and you're just you're not even. I mean, he donated his paychecks. He's taking no pay. You know, that's a fact. And
I'm surprised he just doesn't take it and donate it. Well, I guess he, like you said, he
yeah,
donates
no,
it.
he did. And you know, and I'm sure it's either out of the goodness of his heart, A, or he got a tax write-off huge, B. You know?
Yeah.
So, but you know what? The guy is sharp. And he got criticized a lot for that, for using the bankruptcy laws and stuff like that. But he used them to his advantage. And, you know, he either saved money or made a lot of money, but he did.
Yeah.
That's before he had, you know, it's not a conflict of interest, is what I'm saying, I guess. But,
Let's see what they say here. Let's see.
Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area.
No answer.
It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are US interests? Would that be Ukrainian
They'll be
forces?
protected. The
European
agreement will protect them.
US
The agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement.
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in response?
I just told you, I don't think that's gonna happen. And if that were gonna happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Would not? What was that?
I was having a little bit of a hard time hearing it.
I can turn it up.
Survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings, I don't think they're gonna survive.
He always digs at
Let's
whoever.
go.
Please, this is already, I already mentioned Poland, that Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force.
Muscle car, is that what he said?
And now I'm talking about my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America.
Bam,
For the
bam,
good of
bam.
the
That's a
world.
mic drop right
I'm
there.
aligned with the world.
It's where
I wanna
the
get
glasses
this thing
come in
over.
on
You
the.
see the hatred he's
on the
got for
shorts.
Putin. That's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm
Pay
aligned
attention
with
to
the world.
Zelensky's body
I
language
want to
right
get the
now.
thing set.
Look at
I'm
his
aligned with
hands.
Europe.
Yeah. Look at that
I
man.
want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I can be tougher than any human
Well,
being.
he's
you've
pretty
ever
much got
seen.
cut
He's
off.
so tough, but you're never going to
Finances.
deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
Hey, I would respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions.
I love this guy.
What makes America
He seems
a
pretty
good
sharp.
country is America
Fellow Marine,
engaging in
too.
diplomacy.
Is he really?
Yes.
That's what President
Give me
Trump
just a
did.
sec, guys.
Can I ask you?
I'll be right back.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop
Nothing's
him.
consistent.
But during
That's what he's
2014,
complaining
nobody
about.
stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 is
Well, 2014.
Yeah. So
I was
he killed.
not here.
Yeah, but,
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are-
President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media Right now, you guys are going around and forcing
Ouch.
conscripts to the front
This is
lines
awesome.
because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this
Have you
conflict.
ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to, I've actually
So he's pretty much complaining
the stories, and I know what happens.
because of the change
when
of
you bring
administration.
people- You bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have
And do you think that
I
it's
will
respectful
answer.
to come to the Oval Office of the United
answer.
States of America and
Uh-oh.
attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your
A
country?
lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
What's he
God
talking
bless.
about?
You will not
You
have
gotta-
war.
Don't tell us what.
Hey,
we're
this is
gonna
raw,
feel.
though. Like,
We're
this is
trying
legit.
to
Listen to
solve
him.
it. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position to
this
dictate
question.
that.
That's exactly
Remember,
what-
Jerry,
you're in no
Jerry,
position to
Jerry.
dictate what we're gonna feel.
You are not the
You will
father.
feel influence.
We're gonna feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the
bad
very
position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right
From
about
the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not in a
Mr.
good
Brown,
position.
I was
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
Not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't
We're
have, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with
the
the
Get it!
lives of
Look at
millions
that.
of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you think
You're
about-
gambling with
what do you
World
think
War III. And what you're doing is
Oh
very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you,
respect to you.
far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
In this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned.
Hey, this is like an ash dude. I wonder if everybody thought this was gonna go this way.
For the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Wow.
You think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can.
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute, no, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
I.
You have a damn good chance of
We are
coming out
staying-
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank-
president, $350 billion.
You
We
voted
gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave, but they had to use our military.
What about West
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 2
Hey.
days, I heard it from.
You know
Putin.
Putin's
In
watched
2
this
days.
going,
This is
"Yeah,
something
get
that
'em."
in 2 weeks, of course he has.
It's gonna be a very hard thing to do business like this, I
Again,
tell you.
to say thank you.
I said a lot of
Except
times
that there,
secret
except
to
that,
American people.
except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important, that's why I kept this going so long.
Wow.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there, your people are dying,
Right now,
you're running low on
watch
soldiers.
it.
Listen,
There
you're
it
running
is.
low on soldiers.
Jerry,
It would be a damn
Jerry,
good thing.
Jerry.
You tell us, I don't want to ceasefire.
You know, I asked my kid the other day if they knew what Jerry
I wanna
Springer
go,
was.
and
She
I
had no
want this
idea.
on. Look,
No idea.
if
No.
you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you,
crazy.
you take it, so the bullets stop flying and your men stop
Of course,
getting
of
killed.
course we want to stop the war.
But you're
I
saying you
said-
don't want a
But I
ceasefire.
said to you.
I want a
With
ceasefire,
guarantees.
because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter for
me,
you what-
that
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was
wasn't
with
with
a
you.
guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your-
with,
this
that was
is
with
your-
He
Obama.
disagrees because he got
Excuse
paid.
me, that was with
With Biden.
Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is, Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You gotta be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards, but without us, you don't have any cards.
I wish that he was being a little more diplomatic about it,
Because
though.
the attitudes have to change.
Well, there's ego there. I mean, you see the ego.
What are you saying?
I mean, there's
asking what if Russia
rightfully
breaches
so, but they're
ceasefire?
steamrolling
But what if they,
on
what if
national,
anything? What if a
worldwide.
bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know, they
Not
broke
just
it with
national,
Biden,
worldwide.
because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam.
I love the nicknames, man.
And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The
My
51
favorite
agents.
nickname is
The whole thing was
Elizabeth
a
Warren,
scam. And he had to
Pocahontas.
put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if he can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And
Tough
I
guy.
don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave.
Now he just
But
looks
you're either
sad.
gonna make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's gonna be pretty, but you'll fight it
Well,
out.
he's cut the funding.
But you don't have the cards. But once
Period.
you sign that
Yeah.
deal, you're in a much better
It's
position.
and I mean,
But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's
I don't know
not
the
a nice
currency.
thing.
I mean, I
I'll
don't
be
know
honest,
if
that's
Ukraine.
not a
They
nice
say they don't know about the other
All
half,
right,
but
I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is gonna be great television, I will say that.
Jerry.
We'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thanks.
Hey, Zelensky's brave for getting on there though.
We'll see.
He is. He
I mean,
is.
letting it be a show versus behind closed doors.
I think that JD Vance hands
Was he
down
kicking him out?
Our next president. Yeah, because
Now he's like down to business.
it's no longer Jerry Springer.
No
now.
dog and pony show.
We've got Montel Williams going on in the back.
Come on, tell
We got Oprah. Her major pain, another Marine. Families break up. Don't you watch Oprah?
Yeah, it's over. Man.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
That's gonna make for media news. I was gonna say about CNN. They're like they like to talk trash and pick that fight and everything like that. But you say anything, any of them with facts and prove them wrong, they're like they can dish it out, but they can't take it. You know.
Yeah. That's. I mean, the show, the Dog and Pony show, was. What do you think? The fact that hey, you're not in a position anymore.
That was
We're not funding
wild.
you. We're not. Yeah. So it's like if you're going to be stubborn, that's okay. But the world knows you're being stubborn. There's no hiding behind closed doors anymore.
See, I think that would have been an argument that's held in private.
Well,
and
it's
that
not
they come out and announce a decision, but to rake him over the coals like that, it seems like he'd never been told that or something before, which I'm sure that he had. Maybe he doesn't realize it, but he had. But I mean,
Well, that also kind of shows his position.
it's great for the citizens.
Yeah,
you
because
know?
Trump always talks about the death and stuff like that. So as he's, I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't.
You know, that's kind of, it's like that person on Facebook that airs their dirty laundry on net all the time, and I want to see the results. That's what I'm most interested to see it. The negotiation, I guess, but that was pretty awesome, though.
Yeah,
That was pretty awesome.
that was good. That was good. That's crazy. But again, it's like, hey, sorry for the Dog and Pony show, but we got to get this on the road. Like, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? I don't know how they conversate in the background because it's like, it's important that he understands that he's going to be tough guy, right? I mean, that's how it works, right? And then my question is, when are you going to bring Putin into this?
Well, he was right. He was right, though. Well, he's been meeting with Putin, too. And that's why Zelensky was very upset and saying that there's not going to be any kind of deal made, including my country, if I'm not involved in the negotiations. If that, I think that, maybe the three of them should get together. I would love to see that. But, I mean, basically they're saying you're not going to leave Ukraine out of this peace process for a decision. But he is right, though, about how they did release Russian hostages, and then the Russians recanted on the deal and held on to the Ukrainian hostages. I understand his point on that. And
have we got everybody back yet? No, I mean in terms of like the hostage thing.
They were coming out, trickling out for a while, and I'm not sure. I haven't seen an update on that for probably since the last time one was released.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong. Obviously, I don't see everything, but that would be interesting to check out.
Yeah. I'm still on the Doge site here.
Yeah.
Kind of coming back to that. I know we kind of paused there for the interview, but the wall of receipts that they keep talking about. So contract value, Bureau of Land Management, 400,000. Committee to purchase from people who are blind, 200,000. Commodity Future Trading Commission, 21,000. And I want the big numbers, man. This is. Let's see here.
Well,
that's
we need to look up the waste.
I'm sorry, that's 9 million. That's 9 million. Sorry, man.
The
State Department, Florida, and they goes into the different real estate. The real estate side. It's amazing. If they sent everybody home, they were still paying the electric bill. There's nobody in the buildings. What about all the furniture and stuff? But they're like $26 million from the Bureau of Labor of Statistics, Washington D.C. Let's see if we can filter this out. I don't know if we can. State Department. Let's see if there's a big numbers.
I mean, and it's obvious. I mean, we need money like Bureau of Statistics and stuff like that. I think it's important. State Department, I think, is important. It's just, they need money. It's just how they're spending it that's questionable in some cases. But the stuff of
there's one. Government Accountability Office, $1 million. Seattle.
I mean, why would we need?
They're the accountability of what happened.
I mean, we're like, that's like saying that it's like putting, and this is a I forget the word for it, but that's like saying Barney Fife law enforcement against the FBI, meaning Doge versus the Department of Government spending.
Oh, there's one. United States Fish and Wildlife Service, dude. Like, I don't know about you, but I hear a lot of friends that bow hunt and do all that stuff, and they get so pissed when these guys, like, they're just fining them hundreds of dollars. They'll get out of their car and see something, and they'll shoot it. I guess that's a huge violation. So, but having an administration, the Drug Enforcement Administration.
DEA, what's the deal with them?
Well, it just says $100,000, which that would be like one person, right?
What is that for the year?
No, these are the buildings. So all this is building.
Okay.
These are strict to
costs.
property, yeah. So Veterans Benefits Administration, 27,000. Drug Enforcement, 115. So these are actually properties that are just like sitting out there.
Are they
not
being
necessarily.
used?
Well, I think they're not fraudulent. I think it's just they're just vacant. They're just property that's because nobody knows property like Trump.
Right.
And I'm sure with Elon, they kind of correlate. Is this no, hey, it's vacant. There's nobody there because everybody's at home. And I'm sure there's buildings.
Well, I mean, it was just I think it was yesterday that they were given, or last 2 or 3 days, saying that everybody had to be back to work. I mean,
Well, originally, I was going to say this too, that originally that the big question is how to make money in this time and day and age, right? So residential properties overpriced, right? It's overpriced. There's no way. I mean, nobody's going to go out and buy a 300,000 one bedroom apartment, or house.
Yeah, even rentals.
But
yeah.
all these properties are now vacant.
Oh, those are all vacant.
They've cut them and say, hey, we release you, because what's crazy is I don't think they owned them. I think they rented them. So think if you're the landlord that lost all of these properties. You get what I'm saying? So my question is, because I used to think, hey, commercial should be a big deal because Trump is saying, come on into the United States and we'll give you all these benefits, right? But what do you think that would do adherently to commercial property? Commercial property would become more valuable because people are coming in huge droves trying to get, everybody wants to manufacture here or do this. So, but it might be in like the 10 billion plus scale that these guys are, you want another Amazon building, not a, post office, so to speak. Like, so there could be a cutoff on size and what they're manufacturing, but, all these properties are going vacant.
Are you saying,
what I'm saying is it could go either way. It could be a massive commercial property crash on the horizon, and it may follow soon after the residential. So I don't know, which is a good thing because that kind of stuff adjusts the inflation.
What association were you making with illegals and the empty vacancies?
Well,
with the landlords. Are you
so the
saying
landlords were getting, I have a hotel or an apartment complex that's a multiple, right? So instead of $100 a day or $200 a day, the government said, hey, sign this contract. I'm making $3,000 a day per unit or per person that comes in. Well, the whole thing is they're cutting that off. But again, there's that you don't want to violate anybody's rights that is a United States citizen, right? So you have this whole building that it's a bunch of immigration type situations going on. Can you just go in? You snap them coming out?
No.
But what I'm saying is, because they're saying they're cutting it off because they cut all this. This probably has a lot to do with the contracts. Because if you go up higher, it talks about contracts. These are balls of receipt, contract values, and savings. You get what I'm saying? So if you go up a little higher, there's different things too. So you can kind of just see how, these are the contracts. This is the real estate side, but if I was, just say you and I were the landlord of this major property, the gravy train's over, right? So I'm no longer getting $5,000 per room when I had only rented maybe for $800 is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So my question is, that something else that they've changed here recently is, if you have an LLC, you have to identify who owns that LLC now. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, they say it was the bank's job to do that, but now it's kind of like the e-verification, right? So now if you own an LLC, I have to check it. You see what I'm saying? Now there's a check process where it's saying, hey, you own this LLC. Well, my question is, who owns all the major commercial properties that all these people were getting? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What if there were senators and contractors, and then LLC owns an LLC?
Oh.
They're chasing it, is what I'm saying. They're chasing the ownership, because LLC, the whole point of an LLC is that it doesn't say Shane Cunningham. It doesn't say Shane, or it doesn't say Jesse. It says, hey, yeah, it's an articles of operation. This person owns this much, and it's only held at the bank. The bank is the only really person that gets that information. Well, now they're saying it's a major database saying, I know if you own this LLC, I know who you are. And then if you get like another LLC to own that LLC, they can follow it all the way back to beneficial ownership.
That's the way it should be. Don't you agree?
Yeah. That's the whole point. You should, as the government side, should know who owns what. So then again, if a bunch of senators own all these percentages in LLCs, because what if I'm a contractor and say, hey, I'll give you 20% of this hotel. Now you get 20% of all the profits.
Right.
Nobody would know before this couple of days, because I think it's a countdown on having to provide this information. But there was a countdown saying, hey, you have to provide who owns this. Now, it doesn't mean that they have time to go change it. They can go change saying, hey, you don't own 20%. I sold it to this person. So you don't have to identify the sales and transactions. But whoever currently owns an LLC has to be identified. That's the beneficial ownership, is what
And I want to see the subpoenas for all those transactions from when when it became an LLC or the owner of those buildings, and see what kind of payout that they've made, what kind of profit they've made, what kind of expenses they've had.
Well, and the thing is, it will be public knowledge when they file their taxes. They will, but it's not until it comes around they file those taxes. They can still file them late, and they can do. So I mean, it's going to come out, but it's going to come out after the fact. And the question is, who owned that building? Oh, look, it was China. Oh, look, it was some other country. You see, I mean, all come to find out, the people who even owned that hotel wasn't even.
Why are we just doing
United
this
States.
now? Why are we just?
Well,
doing
and that's another thing. Why?
What department's going to stop all that?
Well, that's the whole accountability thing, and the beneficial ownership of the LLC stuff. So that they're chasing all these little things that people think they can get out of. That it's going to come to light. Even if a trust owns the LLC, this system that they're putting in place, you have to identify all the way down the line. And then if you don't identify who you are or what it is, it's a $500 fine for every single So if you own like 100 LLCs because you're being shady, if you don't identify that you own all those 100, that's a $100 fine. You get what I'm saying?
Well,
Or it's $500 fine.
a lot of that's gonna. I mean, I'd rather pay a $500 fine and keep making 5,000.
Well, I mean, that's enough. Is it? But I think it's per day. I don't know. I got to make sure on this because I want to be.
I want to see before too. I want to see the recent see what Tom Homan's up to.
So I know we kind of got off on the real estate side, but you know,
and that's a lot of language to understand, including myself, not being in real estate.
there we go. 7 things to know about U.S. beneficial ownership. So September. Yeah, no. Who are you saying? We'll skip
Tom
this, okay.
Homan.
The strong man? Who are you talking about?
Tom Homan, the
the
director of ICE.
Yeah, let's see who's this is the Wikipedia side. Was there anything particular?
I'd just like to see
Tom Homan news?
maybe number of illegals crossing per day, or because they had it down. Oh my gosh, compared to what it was under the Biden.
They're saying it's the lowest ever.
The lowest ever, and I think it was in the double digits. I mean, I think when I saw it, it was 88 was one day, 92 was the next day. I mean, they compared to the thousands a day or hundreds a day.
Yeah. Let's see here.
No, it was thousands a day that were crossing under the Biden administration.
Here's one going on.
We are coming, and he joins us right now with reaction to all of this. The doxing thing upsets me the most because between tipping off various groups about ICE raids in advance, it takes away the element of surprise. That puts agents' lives in jeopardy. Now they're doxing them. What are they saying? Go to this guy's house and kill this guy? It sounds like a threat to me. And what will the reaction be?
Well, it's under investigation right now. Matter of fact, I have a meeting tomorrow morning with the Department of Justice. I think that's crossing the line of impediment. And I hope the Department of Justice agrees with me so we find out who's doing it. Hopefully we can prosecute them and put them in jail. Look, I know all about doxing, Sean. I got a state, Governor Youngkin has assigned a state trooper to my home 24/7. I have a marked car outside my door right now. I got a security detail. The left has lost their mind. It's all of a sudden the ones who enforce the law, the bad guys, the one who break the law, the victims.
Weren't they giving Trump a hard time about the whole riot thing? So, oh, you're inciting violence, and but they're saying, I guess they're saying get them, and then nobody's really complaining about it. Like nobody's.
Yeah, the Democrats are like take this to the streets and stuff like that.
But the thing is, I'm super surprised that there's no criminal charges that they can file when any actual threats are made, even via, you know, somebody should get him. That right there is if you say that in public,
Right.
that's you're influencing people. I mean, how many people with
Inciting.
mental health and everything else, you know?
You're inciting, yeah, I mean, but, and this is, that was the whole, January 6th thing, you know? But it only goes, it's a one-way street. It doesn't go both ways, and,
But is it because, you know, is the Republican side not paying attention, so they're not really even catching what they're saying because nobody's paying attention? But on the Democrat side, there's only, you know, there's a few people listening. But I don't know how it works, like, because they got away with it. It seemed like at every press conference during the election, I mean, they were saying get him, or man, someone should take care of him, or you know, they were always saying things like that. But it's like, was anybody going to do anything about that? Is there coming? I mean, just making inferences, I guess, but to do it on a public stage can be considered more, you know, threatening, I would think. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
if we're
there's a
not
big
being
difference
bullied, we're not
between
being intimidated.
right wing and
What
left
we're
wing.
going to do in these cities, we'll double the
That's one
manpower.
of them.
We'll flood those neighborhoods with DEA, ATF, FBI, and ICE. We'll double the effort. It will increase worksite enforcement operations in those communities. We're not going to play a game with these people. We've made it clear we're concentrating on public safety threats. And no one should disagree with taking child sex predators off the streets. ICE just took 9 sexual predators off the street in Massachusetts because they won't honor detainers. ICE made those communities safer, and we're going to continue to make those communities safer.
What do you make of these 2 cities in Massachusetts now that are suing because of the public officials that want the right to put the rights of illegals?
What up, G-Train?
Citizens in their town.
Look, the people who vote for these people, they need to take under consideration what these people are doing. I'll say it again. We are prioritizing public safety threats, child predators, rapists, murderers. These are the worst of the worst walking around your communities. And you would think any elected mayor, any elected governor, any elected city councilwoman would want public safety threats removed from their communities. They're number one responsibility of the taxpayers, the voters. They expect a safe community. So I hope people are waking up to these far left nuts who want to push back against ICE and what we're doing.
Hey, I noticed too. I'm just going to cut off. I noticed too that that this guy does not care. Like, he's already said it publicly. Like, you know, I don't give a damn about hurting anybody's feelings. You know, it's just one of those things. It's like it's reversing the polarity here. You know, the whole censorship thing is gone. Like, I don't care if I hurt your feelings. I mean, sue me, I guess. You know.
He reminds me of, you know, a family that's maybe siblings.
Beat him up? And he beat them up?
No. He reminds me of, like, say if the parents are deceased, God forbid, but they have a fight over, like, the property. Who was left the property?
What was that?
Like
The Hatfields and McCoys?
The Hatfields and McCoys were 2 families that hated each other. But he reminds me of that drunk uncle that shows up. Our tipsy uncle that shows up that's always in a bad mood anyways. And doesn't really have a soft side to him. You know, it just kind of says what he thinks, and, well, it says it to anyone. You know, that's what he reminds me of. But I thought that was just a funny analogy anyways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's crazy. I love him. I mean, this guy.
The guy, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Which, it's not a bad attitude or position.
He needs that attitude to be in that position. He's going to do what the commander-in-chief tells him, and nothing short of that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he means business.
Sorry, let me type this out here and all. Okay. Continue.
We're keeping President Trump's promise to make communities safer and end illegal alien crime in this country.
You know, for the longest time during the campaign on this show, we would roll the names of people that were murdered, and a lot of names that people have not heard, people that were raped, other victims of violent crime. That list gets longer and longer and longer, and then I listen to, you know, idiots like Michael Moore. Oh, we're deporting maybe the person that will cure cancer in the future. Okay, they can cure cancer in their country, and we'll pay them a lot of money for whatever they discover. That, to me,
Michael Moore. Isn't that the actor that kind of went rogue?
Drug dealing, are they?
I remember seeing him in just some skits and stuff. Nothing crazy.
Part of that being dangerous to every American, are they not comprehending?
I don't even know why you'd put his name. Worthiness, you know what I mean?
Wasn't it the director that?
Michael, he'd always have the hat, kind of chubby with glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, am I thinking of the right?
Yeah, remember in American, what was that?
He did a horrible film.
But yeah, I think he was not very good.
Came across the border claiming to be a child. So you don't know what you have. There are a lot of these.
I'm trying to think of the name of that movie.
Actually, dangerous gang members. And I wish
America.
Talk to a few of the angels.
America.
I talked to them.
Yeah.
I talked to hundreds of American citizens.
America.
Children.
I can't remember.
Oh,
show up on him.
You
Oh my God!
Why
Why
would
would
at
you?
least warn me? I need to brace
Oh
myself.
my God! Why would you
like
even
that?
show that dude on TV?
It should be removed.
Oh my
But
God.
yet, she wants to fire Mayor Adams for speaking with me about
Jesus.
kidnapping the Rikers Island to arrest the bad guys who commit crimes in New York City.
I never was
She wants a
hoping
green light law where
never
CBP and
see her
ICE
here from
officers
now again.
can't even run a license plate number for a New York State license plate. They don't know who they're pulling over.
They got to warn you
That's a
before they
dangerous
put
situation.
that dude out.
There's another nut.
It should say brace yourself.
It's disgusting, but they're not going to slow us down, Sean. We're coming.
This guy, I'm pretty sure this guy's personality reminds me of the old master sergeants in lineup.
Yeah.
The old master sergeants at the police lineup, man. This dude is like war-ridden and just tired of the bullshit.
Yeah.
And whatever you got to do,
Yes,
get me. You know what I mean? Like can I get out of here? Like you're trying to do lineup. You're trying to take accountability of who's here, and they're just kind of looking. Can I go now? You know what I mean? Like, but not enough to get fired, but just enough to be that asshole.
Well,
the great American, great contributors, great workers, hard workers. I just think it's fun. That's what it reminds me of. He even dressed like a tag team guy. Man. Just don't give a shit.
You know what? He every time I see his interview, it ups my blood pressure. It
because it gets you fired up.
Kind of gets me fired up, and then I'm boiling hot, and I'm walking around my apartment mumbling under my breath and stuff like that for the next 30 minutes.
So it's funny, man.
It has a big effect on me, but
yeah,
we can.
Yeah. Do you feel like we kind of covered everything?
I think we have. I don't want to end up beating a dead horse.
Well, you want to finish this interview? See what he says.
Let's do.
We'll finish it up.
Across this country, we're going to arrest criminal aliens. You're not going to stop us.
I have never met anybody in my life, I've known you a long time, that is, when they get their focus and they're dialed in on a mission, they're committed to finishing it. Last question, are you making progress? I was asking DHS Secretary Noam about this. Are you making progress on any people that are endangering ICE agents' lives by tipping off people of pending raids by ICE?
I mean, I don't understand how they know anyway.
Finding those people.
Well, they're tipping off where they're going to hit.
I know, but how the hell they know?
Colorado.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, usually they're top secret. They pile up. They meet at a third location. I mean, nobody knows what's going on. That's what I'm saying. Like when even on like the police side, impact units and stuff like that, they meet inside protected areas, fenced areas. They pile in an unlisted van or unmarked van, and then boom. You're telling me that someone tipped them off, or they already know that they were coming from them?
They already know that they were coming for him. That was the whole.
But is that just because they're not?
They got called.
They're not dumb. They always say, "Hey, we better get out of here," because
that'd be like somebody in the special task force sitting in on a meeting. Then, we're going to raid this place, and then they call, "Hey, Mr. Diaz, I think it's time that you move."
You realize, I mean, that's like treasonous behavior, man. Like
it is. It is. And
I don't mean because
so.
you work for an agency that's literally immigration.
It's happening,
right? You're a federal agent, or that your purpose, ICE, is.
Well, there's governors and there's senators and that know the process, that have inside information before anybody else knows it, obviously. And they're making this is proven, they're making a phone call
Yeah,
to let them know.
yeah, that's crazy.
It's treasonous. Exactly.
Treasonous.
I just came back from Conway Ridge, Texas. Great operation.
What's more American than a Mack truck baseball cap,
Operation went
dude?
Great. No
Right.
leaks. Operation security was the finest, so it's a great operation.
Yeah, well, I will say this, I've known Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, a long time. I'm pretty sure when she finds out ICE agents are being doxxed, that's gonna be a major legal issue in the lives of the people that are doing that. We appreciate the good work, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
I'll tell you what, in respects to that Pam
Ah.
Bondi, I think she's fantastic, and you know, I think that she's a great attorney general. Probably you haven't seen one, and that good since Bobby Kennedy. But let me tell you what though, a Democrat back in the '60s is not what a Democrat is today. I'm a huge fan of Bobby Kennedy.
Were you always Republican?
Always Republican, but
You know, Trump was a Democrat at one point.
yeah, I know.
Isn't that crazy?
I know. And then, but a Democrat today, I mean, Bobby Kennedy, I think JFK would roll over his grave if he saw what these, I know Bobby would, you know, if he saw what a Democrat is today. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I'm getting to be a grumpy old man over here just thinking back.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, we'll keep you posted on anything that's going, anything exciting or outside of the norm. You got anything to say?
Hey, signing off, and appreciate you listening,
Yep.
giving us your time. Thank you so much.
Yep. Signing off. Thank you guys. It takes a little bit.